Hi, I'm Owen Fitzpatrick, author of the book, The Charismatic Edge, and creator of the online Charisma Training Academy. And in this video, I want to give you a simple insight into how eye-accessing cues work. Eye-accessing cues simply refer to the discovery in terms of NLP that when people access information, either visual information in terms of images or sounds or feelings, they tend to move their eyes in different ways. Now, this is not true for everyone, but it gives you a good clue as to what's going on when a person accesses, and again, you get to see it through their eyes. So, how does it work? Well, typically, when people remember things, so when, for example, a person remembers an image, they tend to look up to the left, so as far as they can see. A lot of times when they construct an image, in other words, they make up or create an image, they look up to the right. When they look over to the left, they tend to be remembering sounds. And when they look over to the right, they tend to be creating or composing sounds. When they look down to the left, it indicates they're talking to themselves. And when they look down to the right, it indicates they're accessing feelings. Now, why is this useful? Well, two main reasons. One is, let's say you're communicating with someone. And let's say, for example, you're trying to create a message and, communicate some important message to them. If they're looking down to the left, that's a clue that might suggest that they're actually talking to themselves. And if they're talking to themselves, one of the most important things you need to know is you need to be able to get their attention from that moment of time. Because if they're talking to themselves, they're less likely to be listening to everything that you're saying. Similarly, if they're caught in their feelings and you're trying to make them feel a certain way, it might be more difficult because, again, their feelings are overriding whatever it is that you're saying. So it's vital when you're working with people that you're noticing where their eyes are, because that will give you a clue as to what's going on inside their head, and therefore you can get them to change the way in which they feel at that moment in time. The other use for it is that when you're asking a person in terms of how they do what they do, so what we call in NLP strategies, so when we're asking a person when they spell effectively, when they make a good decision, whenever they motivate themselves, and we ask them to describe what they do inside their head, a lot of times they will give us clues as to what they do by the way in which they look. So they might say, well, first I think to myself, what would it look like if I achieved it? Then I remember what it did look like when I have achieved it in the past. Then I remember all the compliments I heard, and I imagine hearing those compliments again. And I say to myself, this is going to be wonderful, and I feel wonderful. And again, by the way in which your eyes move, it will give you a good indication as to what's going on. So eye-accessing cues are a useful way of understanding more about what's going on in another person so that you can start to use that to be able to more effectively communicate. I hope you found that useful, and I hope that you will be able to use eye-accessing cues in a way that makes a real difference to the quality of your communication and your life. For now, I'm Owen Fitzpatrick. Thank you very much for watching.